Thursday! It's April 25th! It's Day 9 Daily number 579, where we learn to be a better gamer. Before any of you watching on the archive watched this very episode, I was making a complete asswad out of myself before the show began, and it put me in a good mood. It put me in the mood that I need to be in to do a daily. Now, let me begin by drinking out of a water glass. It's almost the size of my head. Now we're going to talk about today's daily topic. In today's daily, we're going to look at an incredibly sexy attacking-oriented Protoss vs. Zerg play from LiquidHero. Unlike yesterday's attacking style, or I should say, in yesterday's attacking style LiquidHero PvZ, we talked a lot about adjusting and changing based upon the situation that's at hand. This attacking game is a lot more straightforward, a lot more just, well, we can naturally do this next. Always, always, always. And we will especially see the notion of forcing come into play yet again in this game. The idea being that with every attack we make, if our opponent does not make a certain kind of defense, we kill him. So we force him to play down certain avenues where he has to have certain responses, has to have certain defenses, and we are in control of the game. I didn't need to punch it quite that hard. The pain is subsiding because fortunately I have tough boobies. Another exciting news. This Saturday is the After Hours Gaming League Grand Finals. The League of Legends portion will be Amazon versus Google. The StarCraft portion will be Amazon versus Microsoft. Oh my god. That Amazon crew continues to trample their way to the finish line again and again and again. But they will be up against the best slogan in the universe. Macro hard, Microsoft. Damn, that's a good logo. Ooh. I don't know why I want to be so silly today, but I do. Also, I'm playing Bioshock Infinite tomorrow. If I don't beat it, I'll just do like a half day of Bioshock Infinite the following week with some other short game. This is basically what I was doing before the show that made me giggle so much. So yeah, let's hop into the game. I've been in such a great mood these days. I feel fantastic. I have a 9 shirt. Look at this 9. Look, I'm carefully flexing out just the 9. This is a little bit dangerous. We can't do that on air. We can't do this in front of a camera. Oh, just that I really like the 9. You can get one. It's on my website, day9.tv. Right here. That's where the 9 is. And suddenly, his viewership hit 0. So down on the bottom left, we have LiquidHero, and up in the top right, we have one of the best Zergs in the world, Barcode. Oh, damn it, butts. I didn't have the sound on. I got the music on at least. Alright. So far, so good. So Hero's already going to be doing something that I loveth. He is going to be going for pylon in main base. What? Oh my god! Now, this initially seems not sensical. The way we'd ordinarily analyze a map like Daybreak is we would say, positions are far apart, our third is relatively easy to defend, as is his, so we want to go for a long-term macro game. That's the general thought process in pretty much all matchups. Not a lot of good attack angles on this map, save for one very critically important one for this one. This is a very wide open space. We were talking in daily number 575 or 6, I believe it was, where we were talking about Feast's Protoss vs. Terran, Feast's Protoss vs. Zerg, where these types of formations can't be walled off by just a pylon, gateway, forge, and then another emergency pylon. You actually have to get like a cybernetics core in there. So this is really hard to wall off. 6 pooling, very popular. 10 pooling to force extra shenanigans. So in regards to this early consideration of how on earth he can kill us, this abates a lot of threats, such as 6 pool, 10 pool, gas pool type openings. We can easily defense ourselves. However, it's quite significant to note that if we are in the pants of LiquidHero, or perhaps he's in sweatpants, if we're inside of those sweatpants... What is with me today? If we're inside of the sweatpants of LiquidHero, we still need to have some sort of plan that utilizes this gateway. If we are sacrificing early economy, we have to justify that by doing damage to his economy in some way. And technically you can do damage to his tech or his economy, but you just got to do some sort of damage. So we see this rather funky gate, pylon, assimilator tech. This seems very odd until we get a note of exactly this scout timing. This scout timing is destined to arrive whenever this hatch, or whenever the probe can arrive at the natural expansion. So if it were a smaller map like Neoplanet S, we could wait a little longer to send this probe. Because it's a daybreak, we had to send it a little bit earlier. But notice that we see this right here. Aha! I do not have to build a zealot at all. So we're safe against that. Okay, and in fact, wow, he's going for hatch pool. Now, I mean, I'll note that, you know, if you have your timings down super well, you can have a pretty strong sense that this is a hatch pool. But even if you don't, you can just look. Like his spawning pool should actually be almost done if it was a 14 pool. 14 pool, 15 pool starts at about 2 minutes, finishes at about 3 minutes. Just useful timings to know. If he does go for some sort of pool first and then hatch, the hatch will be starting right around now, right around 2:40, sometimes 2:30 if your opponent is a mega gosu. So here comes a very funky play from Hero. Look at how weird this is. No dudes in gas, no dudes in gateway. No problem. Hero's actually just going for a mega fast expander play. And this is essentially a way of answering this very early hatch timing. We see this and we go, oh, well, I can't really exploit that by doing early direct pressure. Because often, if you do see this delayed hatch, players will go Zealot, Zealot, Stalker with Chrono Boost because you won't be up against a Zergling speed. But in this circumstance, it's kind of hard to actually get in there. So it kind of makes sense as to why we wouldn't want to attack and why we'd want to expand. But already we have an issue. We're like, oh Hero, you unbelievably handsome man. In fact, Hero, look how handsome he is. Oh! But what is Hero to do in this circumstance that justifies going for Gateway first? He has not yet provided us with a good argument as to why he went for Gateway first. Well, it comes in with his Cybernetics Core timing. The Cybernetics Core was actually started at 3:30. When you early expand, as in go Nexus before Gate, generally your Cybernetics Core will go down at 4:30. And 4:30 is considered a pretty early core. So this is actually a very, 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 very early core. Like, really early core. So let us see what Hero does. It's very, very clever, and I have lots of man respect for him. So, first of all, Hero's doing some smart things. He's poking back and forth here, and will continue also to try to check this third out. His goal is actually delay/deny the third. So, there it is. Every good player always checks the third base. Stalker first. I'm actually of the opinion that you kind of have to go Zealot Stalker if you do go for Gateway first. Or excuse me, you do have to get the Stalker up if you go Gateway first, because there's really no good way to combat slow lanes early on, other than Stalkers, which are phenomenal. So now Hero sets himself up this expansion. He's not trying to do any sort of crazy aggressive pressuring, but does send a probe down here to just chill. And how do we combat slow lanes? We don't need a real cannon. We got ourselves a mobile cannon. Yeah! Attack! Whoa! Doing all sorts of goody goodness. And with this pylon plant and this assault, it's suddenly a hyper-delayed third base. Now, this is what we talk about forcing. We have forced our opponent out of early 3-hatch macro mode. We forced him into 2 options: delayed third or fast tech on 2 base. Let's watch this level 99 brain toss answer our questions, our query, if he was a search engine. What to do given those 2 possibilities? Well, certainly we're going to continue to apply pressure. And if we began chrono boosting this cybernetics core, we could have quite the swift gateway push coming up. We could even bust down this entrance, or bust down this base. Probe, notice, cleverly has pulled out of the way. Another edge. This is not just, I wouldn't call this just being a responsible Protoss. Oftentimes Protosses need to just be responsible and have a probe at the other side of the map. But this strikes me a lot more like a build order play. We sent that first probe out to block this, and then we move in with the Zealot Stalker. Most Zergs are going to be like, geez, how do I deal with that? And they're going to stop looking for this probe, this ever-critical probe. Another ever-critical unit. Getting this Nexus to build a mothership core quite swiftly. So we have the block, we're getting some Zealots up. Part of me thinks that some additional Chronos could have gone down on this, but that's fine. All Chrono boosting on the probes, and at 33 probes, an amazing amount of probes, given this Nexus did not go down as swiftly as it could have. But watch this. Watch this. So first let me note a couple of hidden things that are going on. For one, this hatch is morphing itself on up into a layer. Ordinarily, layers go down at around 7 minutes if it's a 3-base player, 6 minutes if it's a 2-base player. These are very general, broad timings. But 7 is considered a nice early 3-base layer. 6 is considered a nice early 2-base layer. So it's reasonably early. So, watch this boss-ass shit. So, double assimilator going down at 7 minutes. Not as early as the 6:15 or 6 minutes of build orders that require really fast Stargate and all that sort of shiz. We're getting the Forge Robo. We pretty much will always need a Robo against a Zerg for Observers and Immortals and Colossus. We'll pretty much always need a Forge against a Zerg because we want upgrades and we don't live in the Stone Age. So just usual sorts of rounding out of things. But, sneaky probe. This Grandmaster Zerg does poke around for the probe, but can't be in all places at once. Now, why did I note that 6-minute timing? The 6:30 timing on this layer? Because roach speed starts very early at 8 minutes. 110 seconds means that roach speed will not be done until the 10-minute mark. Let me just say that a couple of times. About the earliest that roach speed will be done is the 10-minute mark. Maybe 9:30 if he went straight up 2-base layer. A very critical timing, because if we do an early attack, what does he have at his disposal? Lings, slow roaches, queens, slow banelings. Those are the only things he has. So here's the follow-up attack. Bow! That we're going to see LiquidHero do. LiquidHero, when his warp gates finished up, he morphed in Zealot and 2 sentries. He's getting his Observer out. Here's the Mothership Core making a poke. Why is this Mothership Core making a poke? Because what were the 2 possibilities when we shut this down? Either he goes for a late 3rd base, or he goes for an aggressive 2-basing strategy. Those are the 2 options if we delay this enough. So great, we've identified what one of those 2 options there are. So there he is. And as a result, off hero goes, more Zealots and Sentries being morphed in to do the off-killing of the Overlorder. Now hero's going to make this timing push. Why do we call it a timing push? Because it occurs before a critical time for our opponent. And there is no other definition of a timing push. We are beating our opponent to roach speed with this Zealot Sentry force. So we're going to be up against slow roaches with Zealot Sentry. Did you know that a Zealot beats a roach in a one-on-one if the roach is not microed. Did you know that? Because I knew that. I actually hopped in a unit tester to figure out how much health it would have when it died, and randomly some guy just joined the unit tester, and we hung out and we tested stuff together. So, hope you're watching, sick man. Yeah. The sick timing rush, spotting me on the unit tester. What a beast. Yeah, so a zealot beats a roach one-on-one if the roach is not microed. Or, more specifically, a zealot beats a roach when it's trapped in between a force field and a zealot. So this is great. This is perfect timing. And there's the warping of the zealots down at the south side. Cool. Cure Mothership Core, just monitoring things a little bit. Now, if for some reason this attack goes awry, we have our Mothership Core out. Oh, how fantastic. Oh, this is so lovely. Oh, yes, we can recall. Stalker's popping out now. Seems like a good choice. And look at this. We're striking just before Roach Speed arrives. Really can't be up against a guy who has a lot of drones and roaches. 54 drones, 10 roaches. Just not a lot of stuff. Back home, we're seeing Hero do... Oh, also such a magnificent transition. This is increasingly becoming like the little juicy combo. This is the uppercut fireball of Protoss as of late. Zergs, Mutalisks are really strong. And Hydras are really strong. So it's essentially get the Robo Bay versus the Hydras for the Colossus, get the Stargate to build Phoenixes to discourage him from going Mutas, and then to have an answer for that. And versus Roaches, we have the utility of this Mothership Core thrown in there. The only danger of a split like this is really the Infestor, which had a little bit of weakness tossed in there. So we're actually cutting out Immortals from the equation altogether because we have much easier time against Roaches, thanks to our Mothership Core. So here it comes, oh! Really, the only thing that our Zergy buddy could possibly physically have at this point is like Roach Speed, and maybe Hydras are in production with not that many Roaches. We're hitting them basically just before, or at, when the Roaches are done. So what a sexy little push from Hero. He is reinforcing it, but he only has 3 gateways, so it's not like he can burn a ton of cash. While all this is going on, he's getting up a 3rd base. What a badass! What a badass! What an ass made of bad. Breaking right on in. We're starting to see the justification of our early gateway. We first delayed the 3rd, and then provided ourselves a follow-up push, also to hit the 3rd. We can throw down the Time Warp, or as I like to call it, the Time Bomb at any point here. And when things get hairy, or when we run out of force fields, this is another little play du jour. Start the Nexus at the same time that you start the Colossus. There's a Phoenix. Oh, a Phoenix coming out. We know we're not up against really fast Mutas, because we wouldn't have seen Roach Speed or a ton of Roaches. If we did see Mutalisks, we would have had this as an answer, and we would have killed off this base. Nice. Good old barcode. Bossing it up. Yeah, I think this is basically it. No range on the Colossus. Also another very common thing that we're seeing a lot in PvZ. Just no range Colossus, relying a lot more on just Zealots to be at the front lines of battle, instead of Stalkers to be at the front line, with the Colossus range being pretty necessary in that context. Hero's also being really adamant and responsible about his scouting, and this Zerg player is just freaking excellent. I don't know who this guy is, but he is awesome. He's awesome. Macro hatch up, upgrades almost done. 4 geysers up and running at this natural has just gotten these 2 up. You can see they've hardly had anything mined at it. And getting the 4th base up all by the 12-minute mark. Like, really impressive given the pressure that he's been under. Before we go to break, we'll just appreciate that Hero has this very saucy spread. Great vision coverage with the Mothership Core means that this observer is not as necessary to be at the front. In fact, in the unit count, we have 1 observer. Very often we'll want to get 2 observers in this matchup at least. Nope. Huge gas conservation going on by Hero, and we see that he really does need it. He has 500 gas in the bank, but I mean, a single Colossus, a Twilight Council, and then like a Sentry, and he's just like brokedo. So yeah, Mothership Core having so much utility. Those are kisses for you. I'm gonna go to a break. When we come back from break, we're gonna step into that there mid game. Or we're just gonna oogle. We're gonna oogle away. Let us do some oogling to Hero the Hero. Hero the Hero the Hero.